What is a genuine choice, and how to recognize when you are not making one? The first real choice. How to distinguish your decision from an inherited reflection that disguises itself as a choice. Think of an important decision you made in the last few years. One that seemed like yours, that you felt was a conscious, considered, informed choice. Now ask a different question about it. If you hadn't grown up in the family you did, in the environment you did, with the people who shaped you, would you have made the same decision? For many people, the honest answer is, probably not. Or I don't know. Or, I never thought about it this way. The human brain automates what it can to save energy. And what it automates first is what it learned earliest. This doesn't mean you don't have free will. It means that free will requires more work than most people apply, because it starts with a question that almost no one asks before deciding. The first question of a real choice is not, what do I want to do? It is, where does what I want come from? Looking back, do you recognize how much of it is more reflection than choice? Not to judge you, to illustrate what this episode will explore. The more specific, the more useful for those listening. Inherited reflections don't appear as reflections. They appear as preferences, as values, as it's just not my style, as I've never been interested, as it makes sense to me. There are 4 main disguises that behavioral psychology research documents. Disguise 1, the preference you never questioned. There are things you just don't like, or just like, and you never asked where that preference came from. Some are genuinely yours. Others were installed before you had the capacity to evaluate. The difference matters when that preference is guiding big decisions about career, relationships, identity. Disguise 2, the value that is actually a rule. There are things you hold as values: responsibility, humility, hard work, family first. But there is a difference between a value you chose after examining it and a rule that was installed so early that you never distinguished it from your own judgment. Rules disguised as values make decisions for you without asking for your permission. Disguise 3, the fear that seems like common sense. It's not the right time. I need more preparation. It's too risky. Some of these phrases are genuine common sense. Others are inherited fear dressed in adult vocabulary. The difference lies in asking, if this fear didn't exist, would I still think it's not the right time, that I need more preparation, that it's too risky? Disguise 4, the invisible loyalty. Before deciding, name what is active. What inheritance is present in this moment? What specific fear? What invisible loyalty? What rule disguised as a value? Not to ignore, to see. What you see doesn't disappear, but it stops operating behind your back. Layer 3, responsibility for the outcome. A real choice includes accepting what comes next, including what might go wrong. Reflections have the advantage of distributing responsibility. It's what you do. It was expected. There was no alternative. A real choice is yours. What goes well and what goes wrong. That weight is also freedom. Reflection. Choice without responsibility is desire. A real choice needs all 3. Research in decision neuroscience is useful here, not to complicate, but to dispel a myth. The myth: good decisions are rational. Weighing pros and cons, analyzing data, reaching a logical conclusion. The reality documented by researchers like Antonio Damasio. Emotions are not the opposite of reason in decisions. They are an essential part of it. The brain doesn't decide rationally first and then feel. It feels and decides simultaneously, with rationality functioning more as justification than as a driver. This has a direct implication. When you have a strong feeling about a decision, whether attraction or repulsion, that feeling has history. It's the nervous system processing learned patterns long before any conscious analysis. Sometimes that feeling is accumulated wisdom. Sometimes it's inheritance at work. The question is not to ignore what you feel. It's to ask where what you feel comes from, before treating it as definitive information. Daniel Kahneman, in his work on the two systems of thought, documents how System 1, fast, automatic, emotional, makes most decisions before System 2, slow, deliberate, rational, has even been activated. Visible choice is the work of activating System 2 in decisions that matter. Decisions are almost always automatic. Without activating deliberate thought, where do you feel that System 1 governs more than it should? It's not a method. It's a practice that applies before any decision that matters. Question 1. Where does what I want here come from? Not to invalidate the desire, to locate it. If it comes from a genuine place, continue. If it comes from fear, from invisible loyalty, from a rule disguised as a value, that is information. It doesn't block the decision. It informs it. Question 2. What am I protecting by not choosing? Many non-decisions are choices, not to change, not to risk, not to disappoint. What are you protecting when you delay, when you avoid, when you say it's not the right time yet? Sometimes it's wisdom. Sometimes it's the reflection pretending to be you. Question 3. Can I live with the outcome of this choice, including if it goes wrong? This is the question of responsibility. A real choice is one you are willing to claim, not just if it goes well. If the answer is no, or if you hesitate a lot, go back to layer 1. Perhaps you still don't have clarity about what you truly want. It's a guarantee that the decision was yours. Most people go through life making decisions. Very few go through life making choices, in the sense we explored today. Not because they are less capable, because no one taught them to make the distinction. Because reflection is faster, more comfortable, more socially validated than real choice. And because real choice costs clarity, awareness, responsibility, in doses that most days don't seem to have space to contain. But the cost of not choosing is higher. It's a life that has been lived mainly by others, by the standards they installed, by the expectations they created, by the inheritances they passed on unintentionally. You don't need to change everything. You need to start distinguishing what is yours from what was installed. That is the work of a lifetime, and it starts right here. That is visible choice. What you do with what you know. Because seeing is not enough, it's the beginning. Next time, we will go to the most difficult moment of any real change, not the decision, but what happens after it. When you decide differently from what you've always done, something resists. In the body, in relationships, in your own head. It has a name, and it has a solution. Visible choice. Season 1. At Posico and Viceville. The choice this episode examines is not simple to name, because it was made before you were aware you were making a choice. It became a habit. It became identity. It became the way things are. And the first step to choosing differently is to see what was being chosen and why. Visible choice was built to make visible what is always present but rarely examined. That most of what we call choices are reflections with better presentation. What was taught, what was inherited, what was shaped by specific environments. All of this operates in decisions that seem most personal and most free. There is a difference between deciding and choosing. Deciding is what we do when we process information and reach a conclusion. Choosing is what we do when we have real awareness of the alternatives, including the alternative of not doing what we've always done. This series works exactly on that difference. What has been learned about how to make choices can be examined. What can be examined can be questioned. And what can be questioned can, with time and honest work, Be replaced by something that is genuinely yours, and not just the echo of what was taught before you had a voice about what to learn. To take away from this conversation, not a 10-step method, but a question that continues to work after this episode ends. Is this choice, the one this episode named, mine? Or is it what I learn I should choose? The difference between the two is not in the outcome. It's in the awareness with which the outcome was achieved.